Toxic friendships can be one of the most draining and confusing experiences in life. If you've ever found yourself stuck in a friendship that just doesn't feel right, you know exactly how overwhelming it can be. You might feel emotionally exhausted, confused, or even guilty for questioning the relationship. But what if you could spot the signs early and protect yourself from the negative impact of toxic friendships? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. You'll learn how to identify the signs of toxic friendships so you can take action and reclaim your peace. Let's start by exploring what exactly makes a friendship toxic and why it's so important to spot the warning signs before they become bigger problems. You're probably thinking, I've seen some red flags, but how do I know if they're serious? Well, that's exactly what we're going to uncover. The first sign of a toxic friendship is when you constantly feel drained after spending time with that person. Now, friendships are supposed to lift us up. They're meant to be a source of joy, comfort, and support. But if every time you hang out with someone you leave feeling mentally, emotionally, or physically exhausted, it's a major red flag. You might feel like you're giving more than you're receiving, like you're the one doing all the work in the relationship, or like you're constantly trying to please the other person just to maintain peace. This kind of imbalance in the friendship can leave you feeling drained and unappreciated. If you notice that you're spending more energy trying to meet their needs than your own, it's time to take a step back and reflect. A healthy friendship is a two-way street. And if you're the only one putting in effort, then something's wrong. Remember, you deserve friendships that energize you, not leave you feeling exhausted. Another big sign to watch out for is when your friend constantly undermines or belittles you. This might not always be in obvious ways. Sometimes it's subtle, like when they make jokes at your expense, dismiss your achievements, or belittle your opinions. This behavior might be disguised as just kidding or harmless teasing, but when it happens over and over again, it can have a lasting impact on your self-esteem. It's important to recognize that a true friend will lift you up. They'll support you and celebrate your victories. They won't try to make you feel small. If you find yourself questioning your worth after spending time with this friend, then it's a clear indication that something is off. Don't let anyone take away your sense of value. It's okay to walk away from relationships that don't respect you. Remember, you're worthy of being around people who encourage you and make you feel good about yourself. A toxic friend might also be someone who always plays the victim. No matter what happens, they always manage to turn every situation into something that's not their fault. It's never their responsibility, and they expect you to constantly comfort them and give them attention. While it's normal for friends to go through tough times, a true friend doesn't expect you to carry their emotional burden all the time. It's about balance. A toxic friend will always find a way to make everything about themselves. They might guilt trip you, or even manipulate you into doing things for them, without ever considering your own feelings. You might start feeling like you're constantly walking on eggshells around them, trying to avoid upsetting them. But no matter how much you give, it's never enough. If this sounds familiar, it's time to realize that this type of dynamic isn't healthy, and it's not your responsibility to fix someone else's emotional state. Another sign of a toxic friendship is when your friend constantly betrays your trust. Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and when it's broken, it can be incredibly difficult to rebuild. A toxic friend might gossip about you behind your back, share your personal information with others without permission, or lie to you repeatedly. Betrayal of trust can feel like a slap in the face, especially when you've been open and vulnerable with someone. If you can't rely on your friend to keep your confidence, or if they repeatedly break promises, it's a clear sign that they don't value the relationship the same way you do. In these situations, you have to ask yourself if you can continue to invest in a friendship that doesn't respect your trust. One of the most heartbreaking signs of a toxic friendship is when the other person is always jealous or competitive with you. Now, jealousy can happen in any relationship, but when it's constant and becomes toxic, it can start to create distance and resentment. If you notice that your friend seems jealous of your success, your relationships, or anything good that happens in your life, it's a big red flag. Instead of supporting you and celebrating your achievements, they might try to downplay them or act as though they don't care. It's not a good sign when a friend can't handle your successes, and instead of being happy for you, they become resentful or passive-aggressive. Jealousy often stems from insecurity, and while everyone feels a little envious sometimes, if it's happening frequently in the friendship, it's time to take a step back and evaluate whether this friendship is really benefiting you. Toxic friends also tend to be those who never take responsibility for their actions. They might be quick to blame others for their mistakes or shortcomings, but never seem to own up to their own behavior. This can be incredibly frustrating, especially if you're the one who's always trying to make things right. A true friend will admit when they've messed up and apologize. They won't try to deflect blame or make excuses for their actions. If you feel like you're constantly cleaning up after them or dealing with the consequences of their poor choices, then it's time to question whether this friendship is worth keeping. Holding people accountable is important in any relationship. And if a friend can't do that, they're not acting in your best interest. Another sign to look out for is when your friend only reaches out when it's convenient for them. Toxic friends are often those who only show up when they need something but disappear when you need support. They might only contact you when they want something from you, whether it's a favor, attention, or validation, but when you're going through something tough, they're nowhere to be found. Friendship should be about mutual support, not one-sided effort. If you're always the one giving and your friend is only there when it benefits them, it's time to rethink the relationship. Real friends are there for each other, even when there's nothing to gain. If they can't offer that same level of support in return, then they're not the kind of friend you need in your life. Finally, toxic friends are those who refuse to respect your boundaries. Everyone has personal boundaries, whether it's about how much time they spend together, what topics are off limits, or what behavior they won't tolerate. But toxic friends are often the ones who ignore these boundaries and push you to do things that make you uncomfortable. If you've set a boundary and your friend repeatedly ignores it, whether it's asking for your time, your energy, or your emotional labor, they're showing a lack of respect for you. It's essential to have boundaries in place to protect your emotional well-being. And if a friend refuses to honor those, it's a clear sign that the friendship isn't healthy. You deserve people who respect your needs and your space, not people who try to manipulate or control you. Toxic friendships are a heavy burden to carry, but the good news is that once you spot the signs, you can start to protect yourself and make decisions that are in your best interest. You deserve friends who add value to your life, who lift you up, and who are there for you when you need them most. If a friendship is making you feel drained, unsupported, or unappreciated, it's okay to let go and focus on your own well-being. Remember, you have the power to choose who you let into your life, and it's okay to walk away from relationships that no longer serve you. Take your time, trust your instincts, and always protect your peace. You don't have to settle for toxic friendships when you deserve so much more. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share because you will learn tons of valuable information in the next video. Take care of yourself and always prioritize your happiness.